What's going on? Welcome back to Trending Stocks. Today we're going to talk to you about Faraday Future. My last Faraday video, I went through everything that you needed to know in the current circumstances. But I started to think about it, and I think you do need a little bit more additional context, such as time frames and what to realistically expect next. Before I get into any of that, make sure you guys hit that thumbs up, and with that, let's get right to it. So starting off, based on the recent SEC document, it did indicate right here, if the company fails to appeal the delisting determination by May the 1st, 2024, trading of the company's common stock will be suspended at the open of business on May the 3rd, and then a Form 25 will be submitted and blah, blah, blah. So us as lonely retail investors, we have no idea if the company actually does delist or appeals the delisting determination or not. We will ultimately find out on May the 3rd if they are still trading or not, because even though they did come out with this PR saying that they are intending on appealing it, we are kind of left in the dark. So as crappy as it sounds, if they are trading on May the 3rd, then it is fair to assume that Faraday did appeal the delisting determination. So the steps are that Faraday does have to pay $20,000 for that whole appeal process. And then ultimately, once that appeal is submitted and received, then it's around 45 days. That is when a hearing is scheduled. So it's kind of sucks, and not the fact that it does suck, but it's just so drawn out. So I was going through all the highlights. So ultimately, yes, hearings are generally scheduled within 45 days, and typically during that process, Faraday has to come up and say exactly what their intention is. So they'll have to come say, you know what, we plan on doing a reverse stock split to rectify this, and this deficiency, because keep in mind, they did state 3 things that they are deficient in. So this one is the 10-cent bid price rule. This right here, I believe, is that $1 bid price rule, and then the 10K, which 10K, like I've said, isn't that big of a deal in my opinion. I could be wrong, I'm not a financial advisor, but ultimately Faraday does have to address them all. So they'll have to say, we plan on doing a reverse stock split, and then we also plan on doing, I don't know, some operational updates to really boost the share price. But no matter what, the NASDAQ will listen to exactly what Faraday will say, and plus it does even state like officers, so it'll include testimonies by officers, directors, accountants, counsels, investment bankers, and whoever floats Faraday's boat to really bring up as proof that they can actually rectify the deficiencies. And so ultimately, after the hearing is concluded, then this is where they will make a determination within 15 days. So this is where, like I said, it is getting somewhat drawn out. So even though it does state that a hearing is scheduled within 45 days, on a side note, it might not be that lengthy. It might be shorter, because normally what has happened, once I read through the actual rules, well, it's kind of gray rules. So it does say typically a company does have 15 days to appeal the whole delisting notice, but they only gave Faraday, what was it, like 3 days, something like that. So this was dated, or I guess technically April the 24th, and they gave them up until May the 1st. So it wasn't really the 15 days. So clearly goes to show that maybe the NASDAQ is a little bit more strict on Faraday, and kind of rightfully so. So obviously they've had a lot of deficiencies, plus they have done quite a lot of reverse stock splits in the past. So they've done 2, a 1 for 80 and also a 1 for 3. And the NASDAQ, their whole purpose of this hearing panel is to protect the actual public, because Faraday essentially is on their exchange. So NASDAQ has to protect the public from any potential further risks. So if the NASDAQ, after hearing Faraday rant about why they feel that they should be still on the NASDAQ and what they plan on doing, they need to think about what is the risk to the general public. If Faraday stays on there, are they just going to do another reverse stock split and then go down further from there? Because even looking over this last 1 year, it is down 99.88%. Of course, I don't need to explain that to you guys, how crappy of an investment this has been, but beside the point, this is where the basis of the NASDAQ comes from. So like I said, it is very drawn out. So when it comes to the hearing scheduled, it's about 45 days. The NASDAQ panel itself does have 15 days following the actual hearing to kind of go over and outline their plan. So the plan of action, they will let Faraday know from there, and if they are getting delisted, it would be immediate, and then a Form 25 would be submitted. It does also lay out that Faraday could technically appeal the appeals decision, and so this is where I think it's just a money grab in my opinion, but this is where Faraday would once again submit more additional money. It doesn't actually lay out how much the appeal is. So the initial appeal is 20,000, so maybe it is assumed that the second appeal would also be 20,000, or it might be more. So obviously this could be very much drawn out. Faraday does have a limited amount of capital, so it would be very irresponsible for them to constantly just appeal it unless they do plan on diluting. So this is why, for instance, today is very questionable that it did go up 5.5% based off of absolutely no news whatsoever. So in my opinion, every day that Faraday is up, it does indicate that warrants or the warrant holders are exercising, and that is just significant amount of dilution. So it's a very shitty scenario, pardon my French, that Faraday is in, but I've been saying for the last 8+ months that Faraday is destined for bankruptcy, and yeah, that's kind of the end goal. So in the short term, just anticipate maybe Faraday to continue to trade on the NASDAQ, because like I kind of pointed out, it can be very much drawn out. And if Faraday really does want to push it to the extreme, they can appeal the appeal. And I don't believe they can do a third appeal from what I've read. So it is a very interesting circumstance, but nonetheless, I just wanted to give you an update on some time frames to be kind of anticipating. And so I recently as well did a video. It is going to be coming out on Wednesday in the morning under Financial Journey, but top 5 stocks in the EV sector based on the short interest. So the most heavily shorted stocks, and Faraday is number 1 with 63.31% of the free float is being shorted. So just wanted to give you a heads up as far as that. I have also asked AI if they do feel that Faraday is a buy or not, and it says definitely not, and that it is a short. So I don't know. At this stage in the game, Faraday still seems to be kicking the can down the road, still somehow is surviving. I have absolutely no idea. Well, actually, to be fully honest, I do know. It is the warrant holders, and they kind of just see it as a infinite money machine, and thus they're kind of the reasons why Faraday is in the circumstances they are, because the warrant holders have those convertible notes, and yeah, they are bleeding Faraday completely dry. And they were the only point why they've actually survived for as long as they did, because I've been covering it for a while, and then randomly, like, it just has these spikes that barely keeps it above 10 cents just for one day, just to reset that whole 10-cent bid price rule, and then it just goes down for 8 days, then has a spike above it. Then it's just a very interesting stock. I gotta give it that. So let me know your thoughts on Faraday. Have you been buying Faraday? And if so, why? I don't know if people are trolling me, but even on some old Faraday videos that came out, I don't know, like several months ago, people are commenting saying, hey, this is a good buying opportunity. What do you think? It's like, why are you searching old Faraday news? Like, something's really up with that. So beside the point, let me know your thoughts. One final thing, take advantage of this promo. Simply sign up for a new account, throw $100 at it. They give you 7 fractional shares of the Meg 7. So take advantage of this. Link in the description below and also the comments. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.